Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel where I talk about movies. The movie I want to talk about today comes from 1965. This is Bunny Lake is Missing, directed by Otto Preminger, starring Keir, Carol Lynley, Laurence Olivier, Noel Coward. Special appearance by the Zombies. Remember the Zombies? As Bunny Lake is Missing, as noted by the title, this is a little girl. She's 4 years old, and she's gone missing. The story is set in London. Two Americans, a brother and sister, played by Keir and Carol Lynley, have only recently relocated to London. Carol Lynley has a young daughter, 4-year-old daughter, and she takes her to her first day at school. And when she's there, she's a bit late. She leaves, and she's got to get back to the apartment for the furniture arrival. So she leaves Bunny in the first day room, and the cook there is going to look after her, as all the teachers are busy in their classes, and there seems to be nobody around in charge. So the mother leaves, and then when she comes back later in the day, all the kids are coming out, but there's no Bunny. In fact, nobody can even remember Bunny. And the cook has quit in a hissy fit, so there's nobody even there to remember Bunny at all. And of course, the mother goes absolutely hysterical. Where is my daughter? Where could she have gone? The police are called. They come to investigate. Laurence Olivier plays the investigating detective, and then they begin to wonder too, did Bunny actually exist? Is the mother a bit shaky, mentally shaky? But she does have her brother also confirms that there is a Bunny Lake, and there's a great deal of tension between him and the police. And then Laurence Olivier, as the police detective, needs to calm the mother down. So this is very much a psychological mystery thriller kind of film, and I would say that the storyline is somewhat implausible, and you have to go with it. And it's a great deal of fun if you decide to go with it. This film is definitely a great deal of fun. Despite the implausibilities that you'll think of later, but this is sort of a dream, a nightmare, really, a nightmare dream, and it has a sort of the logic of the dream. And though it's set in 1960, mid 1960s, swinging London, there's really, outside of the zombies, there's really no indication of swinging London. This is a very claustrophobic story. The way it's filmed is very claustrophobic. Lots of kids in the school. When the mother goes on the streets of London, there's lots of people walking around. The decor is very claustrophobic as well. There's lots of windows, lots of window frames, lots of bars in the movie to enhance the claustrophobia. And the director, the headmistress, I guess, of this school is absent. She's out sick. And when they search for Bunny at the school, they go up to the top floor where there's the former headmistress who has retired, and she's living on the top floor. Her apartment is just a fantastic set. I believe this movie was all filmed on location in London, mostly at night. But anyways, they go up there, and there's an old lady, and she's she's very strange, yet she seems very intelligent. But her room or apartment up there is just filled with the most interesting bric-a-brac you'd ever want to see. And the part, and you might be reminded a little bit of Miss Havisham from Great Expectations. The actress playing the part, Martisha Hunt, looks like Miss Havisham, and indeed, when I learned later after I watched the film, she actually played Miss Havisham in David Lean's Great Expectations in the late 40s. So even though the story is admittedly somewhat implausible, the technique, Otto Preminger's technique here is absolutely brilliant. I think this, from a directing standpoint, from Preminger's very unique mise en scène, this may be his most brilliantly directed film. The camera moves everywhere. Preminger was known for the moving camera, long tracking shots, following the mother everywhere through the crowds of the school when the kids are let out, through the crowds of the street scenes. It's just brilliant. I watched it. I rewatched it a couple days ago, and then I watched it again with the commentary. And sometimes I don't actually look at the movie. But yeah, you have to look at this film. This film just brings you along. It's just you get so immersed in the characters and the storyline, the brilliant production design, the brilliant photography. Dennis Corin, I think it was, who had photographed many of the kitchen sink films in Britain, and I mean, just how it's all put together. This is absolutely a brilliant film. You might have to look past the plot. The screenplay was written by John and Penelope Mortimer, so these are heavy hitters. John Mortimer was one of the most prolific English writers. All the while, his day job was as a barrister, and he did create Rumpole of the Bailey, both the books and the TV series. And Penelope, his wife, was a very good novelist. She was probably most famous at this time for her novel called The Pumpkin Eater, which was filmed by Jack Clayton almost around the same time period. The Pumpkin Eater starred Anne Bancroft in a just great performance. So we have, and they write great dialogue here. I don't think they solve all the different plot points you might wonder about, even as you're watching, and certainly when you finish watching. But again, I don't think it makes that much difference to the film. Certainly, I would not nominate it as one of Preminger's greatest films, but I think it's up there. I would, for me, Bonjour Tristesse and Anatomy of Murder are his masterpieces, and Laura and the film noirs he made in the early 50s are certainly up there too. But I can watch this film over and over again because I very much love the technique. And this technique leads into another interesting aspect of Preminger's film style, in that he's very objective. He wants the audience to figure it out for themselves. So there's not any, editing, very little editing back and forth when people talk to each other. There's a great scene where a two-shot where brother and sister meet together in one shot, in one close-up shot, which you don't see hardly at all in the rest of the film. It's very dramatic as they sort of confront each other. I would say, as far as the performances go, let's get back to the subjectiveness, because we see one of the characters is sort of manifests that objective outlook where we try to look and see and evaluate and judge in Laurence Olivier's police character. This has been said that this was just a throwaway role where anybody could have done this role, but I disagree with that. I think Olivier is great in this role because he's so quiet and his eyes are always moving around. He never judges. He's always looking at the mother. Is what is she telling me? Who is this woman? And they develop a kind of relationship in that matter. But he's never making judgments. And his sergeant is played by Clive Revell. He sort of mirrors it. He sort of follows around. You can see him in the background as we watch the foreground where Olivier is questioning witnesses. Witnesses. But then he never does the same thing. They have, in the sense that, oh, this is the way it's happened. This is the way it is. We can't trust her. We can't trust him. And so that's very effective because we have sort of like the character who is manifesting Preminger's attitude towards life, towards the stories that he's telling. And then we have that mirror image. But as far as the two main actors, which I think some people might have a problem with, Carol Lynley was sort of on the cusp of stardom. She had appeared in a early Preminger movie called The Cardinal, and Keir, and she's a bit, she's an inexperienced. She's been in a lot of films, but I can envision other actresses in this role. Now, Keir, I think, is the big problem of casting. Ryan O'Neal was thought to be considered for the lead, but both Carol Lynley and Otto Preminger thought that Keir looked they looked alike. They looked like they could be brother and sister. Dullea is rather robotic. He does have some very interesting eyes, and Stanley Kubrick probably noticed that because he, in the following year, I think his scenes for 2001 were filmed the year after this, and this film was released in 1966. Then we have a really strange performance by Noel Coward. It's just a cameo, so I mean a couple scenes where he's the landlord of the apartment that they're living in, that they've just moved into, the brother and sister, and in his first scene, she's hysterical, and she's trying to calm down. He's sort of coming on to her in this scene, very creepy way. And then in the second scene, the sergeant goes to interview him, and he shows him his collection of whips. I don't know what to make of this performance, but it's certainly funny. And then we have lots of character actors. If you watch the commentary or listen to the commentary, they'll point out all these actors in small parts that were staples on British television. Kika Markham is just in one little shot. When I saw her in the credits, I thought, geez, and then I missed her. But when I was watching, there she was. I have a fondness for Kika Markham. I love her so much in Francois Truffaut's Two English Girls that came out maybe 8 or 9 years later. So Preminger's career, this is probably the last Preminger film that's really significant, and mostly because of the look of the film and his aesthetic and how proficient he is with that aesthetic. After this, it comes kind of sad. His next film, I think, was The Cardinal, another sprawling film from a sprawling novel. Like earlier he did Advise and Consent, and Exodus, and In Harm's Way came before Bunny Lake. And then he sort of really, and that film was a flop, a dud. It's somewhat watchable. But he really went off the rails. He made Skidoo and Rosebud that it's hard to imagine. And it's so ironic because he fought against the production code, Preminger, all through the 1950s. He was the champion of getting rid of it. But then when it went away, he sort of wanted to be with it, and he made some really strange films. Now, there are a couple there that come later. Such Good Friends, Diane Cannon is in that, and also Tell Me That You Love Me, Junie Moon, with a very early Liza Minnelli film. They might be worth rechecking out. And his last film, The Human Factor, was based on a Graham Greene novel with a screenplay by Tom Stoppard with Nicole Williamson, some other terrific actors, and it's as flat as a pancake. It's hard to believe. Preminger did have some health issues, I think, later in life, but I think his creative frenzy that lasted from 44 to 1965, 20 years, that's pretty good, had faded away by that time. So we get an interview with Carol Lynley and one with Clive Ravel, who plays the sergeant. You might remember him from Billy Wilder's Avanti with Jack Lemmon. He plays a very funny hotel owner in that film. They're excellent. Lynley said that she got along great with Otto Preminger. Preminger's reputation for bullying actors is infamous. When Laurence Olivier was playing Shakespeare. I think he was playing Othello in the West End during the day, and then he came to the set at night. He told Preminger no shouting, and Preminger had to defer, as he did to Jimmy Stewart in Anatomy of Murder. He couldn't be his normal bullying self in this film. And Noel Coward, of course, too. These are huge stars, and there is one scene because their careers go way back. Noel Coward, I think, was in a silent film, the big time silent film when he was a little boy. But they did play together on stage, and I think they were in a movie together. But they have a scene together where it's just two of the great acting theatrical legends of British 20th century British movies. Where they have a scene together and they talk to each other. I don't know. I get off on that kind of stuff, so I think there's lots to like here. And as I was saying before, Lynley became good friends with Preminger. Now Preminger on set was a terror. Offset, he was a great guy. Everybody loved him. Offset, he was funny. He was on television a lot. He produced this film. Probably only Alfred Hitchcock in the 50s and 60s was more famous as a director, and he did that because he was making sort of independent. Being the producer, he wanted his films to get the greatest publicity of all, and he used great talent. Saul Bass, who did many of his later films. The titles of many has another very simple but highly effective title sequence here. And Clive Revell also talks about how much he enjoyed making this film. He goes through his whole career. I hadn't realized what a big star Clive Revell was in theater. And then we get a commentary, and I'm on a roll with commentaries. This is with Julie Kergo, Nick Redman, Lem Dobbs. Is absolutely brilliant. It's an A+ commentary, as they often do. So this is only, I think this was on Twilight Time label. It's now defunct because I think Nick Redman and Julie Kergo were heavily involved with Twilight Time. This is an indicator Powerhouse release. It is streaming. I didn't see it on Canopy, but it's well worth checking out, even if you find the plot a little bit implausible. Okay, thanks a lot for everybody who managed to listen. I do appreciate it. Comments are welcome. Take care.